Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Barrens Chat podcast. I'm Sod, and with me tonight is my co-host Guck. This is a podcast about World of Warcraft by two guys who play it. Guck, we've hit the final stretch. You and I are both 51. I'm about to ding 52, and we got lucky, very lucky yesterday. We saw a world drop epic with just the two of us in a group.
Yeah, that was incredible. That's been kind of the highlight of my last week in WoW. Just that one random lucky moment that we got. So upon further inspection, the rare that we got is the Wardens Staff, which is the best in slot two-hander for bear tanks. Because it's a staff, it's not really viable for warrior. But the attached stat on it, the plus 10 defense, 2 levels worth of defense, and 10 out of the 140 that you want for defense cap, that's a lot in one item. And on top of that, I believe there's 240 armor and like 11 stamina, so it's an incredibly tanky weapon. Best in slot, like I mentioned, for two-handers for bear tanks. And I've just been trying to sell it. I tried to sell it this morning. A lot of people, I think, who are interested are trying to do the same thing that we're trying to do, which is kind of make a buck out of it. They're looking to kind of, I think, flip it. I don't know how far north above 400 we'll get for this, but I'm going to try to sell the Warden Staff that we got for between 350 to 400 gold. So the fact that we just like fucking picked that up off a random mob while we're leveling in the low 50s is incredible.
Yeah, what's nuts is it's actually the second world drop epic that I've seen, which is nuts because back in the day I only ever saw one, and I played a lot. I was in high school, so that was crazy. Definitely huge as you approach 60 for the epic mount too. I mean that really puts a dent in it.
Oh, certainly. I mean, since buying the original level 40 mount, I've gotten back up to about 125 gold here at around level 51. So this would more than double. Well, I mean, we're going to split the gold, but it's almost more than doubling up on my gold. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, such a game changer too. Can finally learn all the skills at the trainer at some point, which is awesome. I'm just we're hitting the home stretch. Like we're about to start. We're not 60 yet, but like around 55, start working on the pre-raid stuff, the attunement for Molten Core, and then later on Ixia. Get the pre-raid best in slot going. Just make yourself more of a hot commodity for a new guild. I'm really really looking forward to getting into that, and not so much thinking about grinding away these levels. Although I am enjoying myself.
Yeah, I have to get to a spot where I'm where you are because the grind of going from 50 to 55 it's just been for me mentally one of the biggest walls that I've encountered so far. I just I'm bringing myself to level more. I mean to quest more because like Maradon's not viable and ZF is just too low. So at 51 I'm going to go back because you and I were doing Angoro. I'm going to pick up some quests and do Searing Gorge because I didn't get to do Searing Gorge while I was leveling. So that's going to be pretty good. And when you are on side, I'm going to go back to Ungoro. Today, I don't know what we're going to be doing. We'll probably be doing Ungoro again if you have time to play, but I think you said you only have like an hour or so.
Yeah, I gotta be up. Got those early mornings. I was like, I talked to my wife and I was like, listen, this is it. This is the last stretch. I'm gonna be a degenerate this week. She's like, okay, all right, that's fine. And then I realized that my daughter has soccer and hockey starts this week. So, and I have school 2 nights a week, and my wife has school at night. So it's like, I'm like, man, I'm not getting 60 this week. So I'm kind of let down by that. But, real life gets in the way. You just got to deal. And hopefully I'll be 60 maybe this weekend if I can be disciplined and get up at 4:30 in the morning again like I was doing at the start.
Yeah, when you turned the weekend into basically a work day, but instead of work, it's WoW, you got way ahead.
Yeah, that's just dedication right there, or just straight neck bearding.
Yeah, no, for real. Yeah, dude, I'm feeling the same thing because this week is my last week without exams. Next week I've got two exams. So I feel like I kind of want to put a lot of time in this week so that I'm not as distracted. But I mean, by Friday, I'm going to be switched over into studying because I've got, Friday, Saturday, Sunday to study for an exam on Monday. And then I got another exam on Thursday. In one way, I don't want to be distracted by leveling up in WoW. But on another foot, I kind of know that I'm not going to hit 60. So I might as well just kind of plan on banking a lot of rested experience, get as high a level as I can, so that that rested experience is worth as much as possible, and just see what I can do then. I may just try to get as high until Friday. So how many days is maximum for rested XP to get that 150?
It it's I mean you can only bank 3 levels at a time, so it's however long it takes to bank 3 levels of rested XP. I don't think you would hit that cap.
I think it's 150 hours.
Yeah, I think it's. Oh, I don't know. I don't know about that. I mean I'm sure you'd get like a level out of that for sure. I don't know about
Yeah,
3.
yeah. I mean, 3 days off at a time is going to be a lot of rested experience. So being able to actually take a 2 or 3 day break and then just burn it all, regenerate it, that might actually lessen the grind. But I don't know, man. I'm going to be mostly doing for those later levels the pre-raid best in slot grind, and that's not really like you're not really focused on the experience. You're focused on the drops.
Yeah, I think what it'll be like the way I'm looking at it is like right, the main grind for us is coming to a close. It's just making the time for to finish it because once you're 60 and you're attuned, you're good, right? You're gonna get into the raids as long as there's room for your class. So it's not like you have to grind keys and AP and things like that over and over again, right? You get 60, your grind to a point ends. I mean, you're still going to farm consumables and, other stuff. What I personally like to do is I like to just have consumables banked for like a few months. So I just never have to worry about it. And that's what I'll like find a routine where I can get into that in Classic as well. And I can just hang out and chill and either level another character, not worry about playing unless I'm on my raid schedule. And I think that is, that's like huge about the draw for Classic for me is like, yes, it is a huge grind, but the grind kind of dies down once you get yourself squared away, which is nice.
Yeah. What have you been focused on as far as like getting through level 50 to 55? Are you focused on like getting into the right zone?
Yeah,
What
so
are you trying to do?
so you and I started Ungoro yesterday. I did a little bit of Western Plague Lands. I'm a little low for that. I'm like half a bar away from 52, so that'll get me another level. Maybe I can mess around in the early stages of Winter Spring. I think I'm still low for that, but I think honestly what I might do is grind Timbermaw rep for like a level or a half a level or so, just because they have tailoring patterns and stuff like that, and so I don't know fully what they have. I know they have some tailoring patterns for me, so I need to at least get that rep up to neutral, and then just continue to work on it until I'm 60. I guess I don't know. That'll probably be like my solo grinding thing, just running around Winter Spring or Fellwood and grinding Timber Maw rep, and if there's people around, grouping with them. I was in a group doing it yesterday, and it was pretty effective. It wasn't great XP, but it was actually decent rep. So
What else is there besides the patterns and the neutrality to kind of pass through the tunnel that they have? Like, what other reasons is there to grind their rep? Did you find that out?
honestly, I have no idea. I just know that they have like rune cloth patterns and stuff like that that I need. Well, I guess I
Is
don't
that how you
need, but
get the moon cloth
it it
thing?
it might be. I haven't looked up how to get the mooncloth patterns, but my tailoring's at like 260 right now, so I'm starting to think end game. I actually almost bought a pattern for Robe of the Archmage the other day for like 100 gold, which I think might be pretty cheap, but I was like, yeah, I'll just grind lower Black Rock Spire at some point and see if I can get it to drop.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. Because right now, people don't have a lot of money. So I feel like in some ways they're not expecting a lot because they themselves want to get some money out of it. But then you're kind of like doing this balancing game where with, well, do I buy stuff now when I don't have money and hurt even more for money, or do I, wait? And when you're waiting, the potential for these rare things to drop, like, does that increase the supply enough to drop the price? Uh, these things are all kind of like the other thing I'm worried about is with people having more money, are people just going to like shark up the auction house, buy shit, and relist it for a higher price to just kind of inflate the economy as people get more money? I want to I want to avoid that like the plague.
Yeah, it's weird, like how the economy's shaped up, and obviously people are way more seasoned this time around, and know what's valuable as opposed to way back in the day, and like all the items and stuff like that are known. So there's people like you and I saw a guy on his epic mount the other day. I was like, oh man, that guy, guy must be pretty good at playing the economy because I'm like you. I'm sitting at like roughly 120 gold. I've been doing decent at not playing the economy, but using tailoring well to make gold, and I think making the most out of the mats that I've looted. I flipped items a couple of times, but like nothing that's gonna get me my epic mount anytime soon. I'll still be a long ways away from that unless I get really lucky with world drops or BOEs.
Yeah, and I would say most of my gold's from grinding dungeons, so selling grays and just passive gold drops from that. So maybe these people with their epic mounts are really good at doing both of these simultaneously. Because any of the money that I could have made from mining, I would say I have lost at least that much from leveling engineering. So my professions have kind of broken even, and all of my gold, which is I would say fairly average for this point in the game, at least at level 51. That's just from passive dungeon grinding. So I mean, maybe you think about doubling up their gold through that. They maybe get lucky on a couple epic drops. One or two people will eventually, have their epic mounts early. It's not unheard of. But yeah, seeing that one guy on it was definitely impressive.
Now, one thing I haven't noticed that I don't know if you did, there were people farming devil swords in Ungoro, but I think our servers at the point like the server forums just had their first confirmed rag kill. I've seen a couple horde guilds in Molten Core that maybe have cleared rag. I haven't asked, I haven't heard anything, but there is 100% an alliance guild that's cleared it, which is cool to see that the forums are starting to pick up a little more traffic. There's actually a lot of heat going on with some ninja looter. I don't know. The server forums are getting a little wacky. A lot of guild recruitment. It is cool to see, and it's also cool to see the progress being made on our server. And the hopeful prospect of like a lot of these big servers with a lot of these the huge massive servers with 3 hour queues to get in. Like they already have multiple legendaries. Thunder Fury, Hand of Rag dropped. Like so, I think it's cool that we kind of have not an authentic experience, but we're kind of chilling. I think most of the population of the server is around our level, so we're probably pretty average as far as where the player base is, and we're getting a legitimate classic experience. And to see Rag die like a month in, I think it is cool, and hopefully the Horde doesn't fall too far behind the Alliance because I'd hate to get shredded.
Yeah, that's the thing. We want to. I think last I checked, as far as the census info is concerned, we're still ahead of the pack. I think the majority of the people are still floating around 30, but the bell curve is kind of widening out as there are more kind of neckbeards, and the neckbeards and the casuals are kind of, we're assorting ourselves into our different groups. And with that, I mean, one of the important things with that, I feel like we're ahead of the curve, but then the layering effects are still pervasive. This was something that I thought would be diminished by this point. Um, the idea was, I thought that layering would only affect the starting zones, and then as you get to these higher level zones, the layering goes away, and everyone's kind of forced to play in this same instance. But I haven't seen it yet, and we're basically at the point where they kind of said it would go away. Sod, do you think they are going to actually get rid of layering, or do you think layering is going to be something that sticks around for the entirety of Classic?
I definitely hope that it goes away, right? I mean, it's already having drastic effects on the economy. Obviously, there was a whole instance layering thing that, got a bunch of people banned, but the devil sword leather and the herbs, yeah, I forget the name of the herb, the lotus, is it? I forget what color
I
the
think
lotus is. Yeah,
black
black
lotus.
lotus.
The
That's
purple
it.
lotus is the regular one, and then the black lotus is the expensive one.
Yeah, so it's already having effects on the economy that will more than likely last, a good portion of the next, probably I would say at least 2.5 raid tiers, right, until AQ. And people are probably able to bank the mats for opening the gates of AQ. So I mean, with layering, you're gonna see it. It's just bad. I think they need to get rid of it. I think the population of the game is probably spread out enough. Obviously, as more people get 60 and get close to 60, those zones will be, maybe a little too crowded, but uh, I think that's acceptable. I think get rid of layering. That way, there's no more abuse of the economy, and we can get on with the more authentic experience. I think you can't really punish people for abusing layering, but it's just time to see it go. I think. Hopefully it'll be gone well before phase two. I would assume we're still like 3, maybe 4 months away from phase two.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I personally am still kind of enjoying some of the benefits of layering. So when your quest area is swamped, you can always ask someone in your guild for an invite, and you'll get brought to their lair. And then maybe that layer doesn't have as many people farming it, and you can farm it at your leisure. Maybe you've been a douche in PvP. You've just been kind of like camping someone, and they come back with a group, and now that group is camping you. Maybe it's time to find a new layer. All of those things are like, I mean, it's ways around interacting with people the way that classic WoW is intended to make you interact with people. There's supposed to be some form of animosity that's persistent even after PvP engagements that lasts until your end game battlegrounds. When you see these people, you recognize their names on a class that you remember ganking you, and you engage them. Like, it's stuff like that that makes classic WoW so different from retail. So while layering does have a lot of these kind of nice things, it's antithetical to the spirit of classic. So it's something that ultimately really has to go.
I would expect to see an announcement from Blizzard on it at some point in the near future, given that it's such a huge topic right now in the game. And with the wave, the ban wave that went out, and the people sending screenshots of their massive amounts of devil sword leather and black lotus that they've already farmed. I would expect an announcement on it soon. I mean, it's really, we can't. It's really hard to speculate when it'll be gone. It should be gone soon, hopefully.
Yeah, it's a shame. I don't know what they're gonna do. They're not gonna be able to roll back people who are just getting invites from guildmates and farming areas. The people who are doing the instance farming, you can kind of see how many times they've killed a certain boss and do something with that. But yeah, I'm curious to see how much that will affect our server. I'm sure stuff like that's really prevalent all over Herod, Fairlina, Whitemane. And I think we really got lucky and dodged a bullet jumping onto Kromm Kush because it's one of the servers that like no one really talked about. They announced it as release was happening, and it just kind of filled up to this perfect amount where during peak hours we're like right at full or high, but the queue has gone down significantly as people have kind of gotten the hype has died off by now. The rose tinted goggles are off. It's largely kind of the authentic server population, and I'm so glad that at peak hours it still gets to full. But I don't think we're so full that we have a lot of these issues. I feel like we're gonna be kind of lucky enough to miss a lot of the hoarded Devil Sore leather and the hoarded mats issues. I'm hoping at least. So I think we're at the perfect ideal point in the servers where we're not so low that there's population issues, and we're not so high that we have a swarm of neckbeards hoarding their mats. We're like right in the middle, and it's perfect.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. And I mean, how lucky are we to just luck into this server, right? Everybody was sitting in the queue, and this server was announced, and we just jumped to it, and here we are. I think it's great.
Yeah, we ended up having a great launch experience, I think, and for the most part, the entirety of leveling on this server has been great, and it feels authentic. There aren't huge populations of of streamers. There's not crazy massive guilds already that are like fanboys to them, and there's not just massive hardcore neckbearding because you can tell from the average kind of server level off of that census data. It's wonderful. It's like a really good classic experience.
Yeah, and to be honest, I don't see very many people playing retail right now. I mean, I haven't logged in. I did have a friend say to me that they wanted to play retail and they were looking forward to it, and that once they get 60, they're definitely going to use that boost right away, which I laughed at. But I don't think it'll be for me for a while, at least until the next patch. And I think they announced a patch for retail, right? Didn't they announce a patch date?
Yeah, tomorrow. Tomorrow, 8.2.5 is going to release, and they're going to roll out the finale of the war campaign. So I am actually going to sign in. I'm going to do the war campaign stuff. I'm going to go through it, see the story, watch the cinematics, see what they've done. But I don't think there's anything significant being added aside from the new Worgen and Goblin models, which, I mean, if you're a role player, there you go. You got a better furry model and a better fucking green skin model if you're into. I don't know what the furries are into. They're definitely going to be into the Volpera when they come out. I know you're into that side. You're
Is that
definitely going to roll
confirmed?
Volpera.
Are Volpera going
It
to be a thing?
it's got to be confirmed by now. I mean, they're basically the same. What is it? Animation skeleton as the goblin, but they're reskinned. It's got to happen.
Yeah. The allied races are cool and all, but I don't play this game because of the cosmetic reward of having a cool race. I'd prefer. I mean, think about it. The classic gameplay is not good, but for some reason, I like classic way better than I like retail. I mean, it's the reward system, the progression system, the whole nine, and a cool goblin model isn't gonna bring a shitload of people back to retail. I mean, you will see a bump in retail tomorrow for sure with the patch being released, and I think that's good. It's good for the game, and maybe I'll pop on, but definitely not until I'm 60 at the very least.
And the other thing, you can get a lot of what this patch has to offer. I would guess with just YouTube clips, you could watch the cinematics. You could see someone play through the end of the war campaign from their perspective on their stream, and you could get just as much out of it from playing because they aren't adding any new gameplay elements. It's just a story element that they're adding. So yeah, because they're not adding any gameplay elements, I don't think obviously this is going to be a very temporary bump. And I don't know what it's definitely not going to do anything for Blizzard. It's going to be people who are already subbed for Classic, which according to Bellular's new headline, I haven't watched the video, but the claim is there are 3 times as many WoW subs as there were before Classic's launch, and I'm surprised because 3 times a very small number can still be a pretty small number. I would imagine it's actually become a very large number, but I mean that's just me shitting on retail. I just don't think it's gonna move the needle. I think it's gonna be another reason people are gonna like kind of complain about retail WoW. It's like all this glitz and glamour and none of the substance. So we'll see. We'll see what the effect is of the launch tomorrow.
Yeah, as far as that goes, like I'm just gonna watch YouTube clips. And now, what I wanted to ask is this the end of the war campaign? Like, what's speculated? Like, is Thunder Bluff gonna be the next Siege of Orgrimmar right now? What are you thinking?
I don't know. That's a good question. We know it will be the end of the war campaign, so it's going to be a significant story advancement. So it could be Eyes on Thunderbluff. I mean, it needs to tie in the Bane storyline with the kind of Sylvanas storyline, but also through the Alliance. So I'm not really sure what the Alliance have been doing aside from just freeing Bane. I'm not sure if they have something else specifically Alliance oriented that they are also working towards, but I think it's just freeing Bane. So if that's the case, it probably will end up being something very very Thunderbluff kind of oriented. But if that's the case, it's like I feel like we're gonna have to do another like city to city thing, like what we did with Darnassus and the Undercity. So if we're gonna go for Thunderbluff, that would imply that we're going for the other major main capital, which would be Ironforge. So I don't know how that would be tied in, or if that is necessarily tied in, but I would expect, yeah, some huge story moves and maybe something pointed at Thunderbluff. I don't know, because it's the war campaign, I don't think they're going to do anything related to the Eternal Palace. So we're not going to see any sort of like Naga, nothing with Naga, nothing with the old gods, nothing with N'Zoth. Um, I'm hoping to see a lot of Sylvanas stuff. There's going to be a 3-minute cutscene and a 6-minute cutscene, and I'm hoping the 6-minute one has some serious development with Sylvanas because I've been really disappointed with that.
All right, well, that is kind of cool. It's not cool enough to make me play the game, but they do. The cutscenes are awesome, I think, especially for a video game. They do such a great job with the cinematic features in it. I am looking forward to that.
Yeah, and with one that's 6 minutes long, it's got to be epic. Like that's the only way they know how to do it.
Yeah, it's like a short movie. It's like a TV show in the first section before it cuts to a commercial break. You can get a ton out of that.
Yeah, so I'm excited. Instead of getting the YouTube experience, I will actually get on and move around with my character, enjoy how fast it is to fly and to roll around as a monk and do all these things. But it will be short lived because, like I mentioned earlier, like I gotta get back to the grind. Exams are next week, and it's no joke. Getting to 60 is a real fucking grind.
Yeah, so you're gonna play through the story, and I'm gonna watch it on YouTube. Why don't you just stream it and then clip me the stream so I can watch it and feel like I'm playing as well?
There we go. I can do that.
So I think that's all we have for the day.
Yeah, short and sweet episode. I mean, last episode we went for a fucking hour off of nothing, and I don't think enough has happened to really warrant another hour-long episode. So I think 30 minutes is nice, short and sweet.
Yeah, 30 minutes is good. Hopefully you and I just go ham, get close to 60 this week. Probably won't get 60, but and new patch tomorrow. So if you're playing retail, enjoy it, and get back to you next week.